Hello and welcome to this short Brownbag session on Lean Agile Portfolios. So in this short talk, I'll cover three things. What do we mean by a portfolio? What are common characteristics that we observe in Lean Agile portfolios? And what pragmatic steps have our customers taken in the past months to start transforming towards a Lean Agile portfolio? But before I start, I'd like to mention why this is an important topic at this time. Well, there are really two reasons. The first is that customers have come to us in the past months saying things like, Lean Agile is starting to be adopted and lived at the team and program level, but the overall strategic and budgeting process is still based around traditional project portfolio management, yearly budgeting, and a focus on funding projects and not the people and teams who actually deliver value. So they are finding that they cannot reach their enterprise business goals, such as fast to market, more adaptive, more customer focused, because the two worlds of project portfolio management and team and program agility basically just don't fit together. Therefore, companies are starting to learn that the strategic portfolio and budgeting process also needs to reflect the Lean Agile principles that we're starting to live at the team level, so that they can ultimately deliver the outcomes the business is actually looking for. The second reason is, of course, the chaotic corona world we now live in. The current demand for rapid change and adaptations makes most of the 2019 devised enterprise plans and budgets, which were created for 2020, largely meaningless. So Lean Agile Portfolio Management provides the principles and mindset that can faster react to changing conditions and to market expectations. Okay, so let's first look at what portfolio actually is. Okay, and I'll start with an example. So my niece wanted to become a professional photographer. And to get into photography skills, she needed to submit a portfolio of her work. Now, in her case, this portfolio of work were different types of images. It had some portraits, some landscapes, different light conditions, different subjects, etc. But what she had basically was a collection, a grouping of things which had a common focus, common purpose, and delivered for her a value. So for her, her portfolio had focus, purpose, and value. Now thinking about that in the enterprise context. Now in the enterprise, we also have collections, but in the enterprise sense, we're not talking about photographs, we're talking about normally collections of large strategic initiatives. The big business and technical things that will power our portfolio, our business over the medium to long term. So at the portfolio level, we're typically talking about initiatives that run into many hundreds of thousands or millions of euros. We're not talking about features and stories here. So this portfolio of strategic initiatives is often bundled together through different ways. Typically through a common vision, we may differentiate the portfolio by customer segmentation or maybe specific value propositions. And then the portfolio itself is driven by common strategy, and the common strategy impacts how much the enterprise invests in portfolio and also the budgeting decisions which are made within that portfolio. So these are how we see things for an enterprise in terms of portfolio. Now, most large enterprises typically manage multiple portfolios. So think about multiple portfolios. We can take the example of an insurance company. In an insurance company, we might have different portfolios. We may have a portfolio for property insurance. We may have another portfolio for life insurance, and the third portfolio for industrial insurance. Each of these portfolios is bundled together with a common focus, purpose, and value. And each is managed through its own lean portfolio processes and practices. The actual value outcomes of each portfolio are delivered by Lean Agile programs and the teams which are within and are focused upon that portfolio. Okay, so now let's look at what we typically observe within a Lean Agile portfolio. What makes a portfolio more Lean Agile? Okay. Okay, so let's look at some core elements of a Lean Agile portfolio. What makes it thing? Well, one of the first things that we expect to see in a Lean Agile portfolio is portfolio Kanban. So we expect to see transparency. Typically, this means we have a portfolio Kanban process that is helping us manage the flow of value. It makes the things we are working on, the throughput of value, and the trade-offs we are making transparent. A second element that is important we often see in Lean Agile Portfolio is transparency over demand and capacity. So we typically find that the scope of demands in large portfolios far outstrips our ability to actually deliver that through the teams and programs. So by making this demand capacity theme transparent, we can then start to address questions of priorities, de-scoping, focusing more on outcome and not on output. So we wish to balance demand and capacity in order to be able to deliver the most valuable outcomes within the portfolio. And then, vitally important within the portfolio is the theme of alignment. So we have a large number of people who typically are contributing to the portfolio. We have senior business executives, finance controlling, business owners, agile programs for areas, agile release trains, nexus, tribes, whatever. We have agile teams, agile roles, etc., etc. And it's the people who actually deliver the value outcomes. So therefore, a major aim of Lean Agile Portfolio Management is to align and synchronize the people and the vision and strategy. And this is important so that we all understand the focus, purpose, and value that the portfolio stands for. And this in turn gives us a North Star that helps guide us in our local decision making. Fourth element of Lean Agile Portfolio is around the theme of budgeting and finance. So we want to focus people and teams and not projects. So we want to stop funding and organizing around projects and start funding and organizing around value. And in doing so, we have more freedom and flexibility on delivering value rather than project completion. Finally, so we want to get rid of projects and start thinking about value areas. Finally, we see our plan, do, check, act cycles at this portfolio level. So we have cadence-based strategy, portfolio, and budget review. At regular intervals, we inspect and adapt to ensure that we are focused on doing the right things based on the right learning. So the portfolio now starts to reflect the mindset, principles, and practices that we're seeing in agile teams and programs. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, but you may be thinking, how do we actually do this? Okay, let's take a look at that. Some pragmatic approaches to actually getting started with this. Okay, so what I did was I gathered some experiences that a number of customers have had over 2019 and into 2020. And so these are pragmatic steps that they are following along their own Lean Agile journey. So what have they actually been doing? Okay, let's start here. Well, first core point that they've been up to is, of course, define and align on the value. So the goal here is define and align what the scope of the portfolio actually is. What is the portfolio? How do we define it? Who and what products and services are in and out of this portfolio? So this is important as we often have different opinions about what the portfolio is or could be. So first, define the boundaries of the portfolio and create a common understanding of what the portfolio actually is. And the second step, once we've defined what it is defining is actually visualizing the portfolio through a portfolio Kanban. What initiatives are in progress, what is currently scoped for the coming period, what things are in the pipeline and could be future initiatives. How balanced is demand versus our realistic capacity to deliver. So here we're taking a kind of Kanban approach of visualize your work, because this transparency is the basis for lean portfolio management. Okay, so third step is to basically establish the portfolio roles and responsibilities. So we might see senior executives, business owners, lean agile competence, change teams taking over roles here. So we need to be clear about what needs to be done and who can contribute towards actually doing this. Once we set that up, seeing as common next steps is actually defining strategy. So the next step is define the strategy of the portfolio and what themes and high-level initiatives need to be considered for the portfolio to be successful. So our experience has been that customers are using OKRs, so objectives and key results, to define and communicate their strategic goals at the portfolio level, and that the initiatives that they generate are focused on contributing to the desired key results within the OKRs. So defining the strategy is a vital step. Okay. So once we've established these first steps, companies tend to invest more time in refining their high-level demands. This could be things like creating lean agile business cases, sorting of the backlog based on prioritization, such as cost of delay. So at this point, they're starting to discuss trade-offs between initiatives and already making hard decisions about what needs to take priority for their portfolio to be successful. Okay. Next step is to address the budgeting approach. So here we see companies moving away from yearly budget and strategic planning cycles to quarterly cycles. So the quarterly budget review takes a hard look at where value is actually being created, where it's not being created, what has been learned from the market, from customers, and makes strategic and budget changes accordingly, really affecting this on a quarterly basis. And finally, when we've gone through these steps, then we are up and running with Lean Agile Portfolio Management. And we see regular cadence-based process of inspect and adapt. And by this point, companies have taken significant steps in moving to a portfolio approach that better meets the needs of the realities of a rapidly changing world and supports the way the teams and projects or programs rather are actually working. Okay, so that's what I wish to share with you in this short session. But there is a lot more to Lean Portfolio Management. But moving from traditional project portfolio management to Lean Portfolio Management has the opportunity of allowing organizations the chance to release a lot more value. So if you're interested in learning more and are in the process of trying to make this change, then improuv can support you in 3 different ways. Let me just show you that. So what is it that we typically do here as a coaching consultant company? Well, we provide training, and Lean Portfolio, certified, non-certified. We provide coaching and workshop facilitation. So if you're interested, just give us a call if you want to discuss this. And just out of interest, you can see here that our next public Lean Portfolio Management training runs from the 2nd to the 5th of June, and we'll be running that as interactive remote sessions. Okay, so I hope you can take something positive away from this short session. I wish you good luck on your Lean Portfolio journey and good luck through these interesting Corona times. Okay, thank you for listening and thank you for any questions.